Hi everybody, my name's Jamie. Thanks for tuning in to my channel. I love talking through fantasy football and sports in general. I always like to recap last week at a glance, talk through some pickup options, some pick'ems, who I think is going to win and why, and then some DFS plays if you play DraftKings. Always play at your own risk, of course, but let's talk through some headlines and key takeaways from this past week. Steelers and Saints, I think, are in big trouble in Little Chinatown. If you're a Drew Brees owner like me, you can't be happy with 0.86 points. That was not what I needed to get a W. And now I got some decisions to make at the QB position on my team, so that's sad. And if you're an Alvin Kamara owner and Michael Thomas owner, you definitely saw a downtick in performance. That's concerning. I think you still got to start him, but I just don't know that Teddy Bridgewater is the answer moving forward. So it's going to be interesting. I know Drew Brees is out for another 8 weeks. The question is Drew Brees going to be the Drew Brees we know and love after 8 weeks? I don't know. And I think at that point it could be too late. Maybe the Falcons run away with the division and rise up. I don't know. They look pretty good this week. And the Panthers are dangerous on any given Sunday, it seems. So lots of questions there. The Steelers themselves, too, have a lot of decisions. I think personally that they need to sign Sam Bradford. He got the Vikings out of trouble a couple years ago and kept them afloat. But I know there's some other options out there. Some people have mentioned Colin Kaepernick. And they should ask themselves, how firmly in retirement is Josh McCown? Because he's a pretty good option at this point, too. Not too far removed from the league. And I know he's got a really great collection of jerseys. And all he needs is the Steelers one to make his collection complete. So if you're a Juju Smith-Schuster owner yet again, probably concerned. If you're a James Conner owner, I think you're actually okay. I think that they'll run the ball more, all things considered. But I think with both teams, they are in trouble. The Steelers have the Ravens leading the division right now, and the Browns look pretty great this past week. And they're not in the situation that the Steelers are. So things are going to get interesting in the upcoming weeks, and I think both are going to have trouble making the playoffs now. My next point, my jersey says it all. Emmanuel Sanders is the man, and he hauled in 10 out of 11 targets. The guy is a Hoover above ground. And I think I've used that reference before, but it seems right. He's a stud. He's been mossing all over the place the last couple weeks, and I think if you're an Emmanuel Sanders owner, you feel pretty great about it because you didn't pay a large price for him in your drafts. And I had him on my bench in one league. He's a flex in the flex spot in one of my leagues, but he outperformed 2 out of 3 of my wide receivers that were, that I paid far more for this past week. And I think it's only a matter of time before Joe Flacco puts it together and really starts to get acclimated into the system. And Emmanuel Sanders is their number one guy. So no if, ands, or buts about it. He's the real deal, I think. And I think as long as he stays healthy, I think he's going to hit 1,000 yards and have another fantastic season. The Falcons bounced back, and they looked really great. I think the Falcons are actually going to give that divisional run for its money now. I was surprised by the Vikings losing to the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are off to a great start. I do have the Broncos upsetting them, so we shall see on that one. But I figure at some point the Broncos have to win a game, and I have to get it right. So I'm going to pick this week. And they had a close call this past week against the Bears. I was really surprised with the Bills beating the Giants, and I was even more surprised by Eli Manning getting benched. I think it's too soon for that. Golden Tate comes back in 2 weeks, and I don't know if Daniel Jones falls on his face, what do? You pull him? I just think it's a little bit too soon for that. And if at that point you've lost 2 games, your season's done. So maybe they're going for a draft pick. I don't know. I just think it's too soon to start to bench somebody like Eli Manning. Like him or love him or hate him or whatever, I think it's just too soon. The Browns look better. The Jets definitely miss Sam Darnold. Antonio Brown, the media just can't get enough of this guy, but he settled right into the Patriots offense. And touchdown Tommy, I guess when you have him throwing you the ball, how could you not? But if you're a Josh Gordon owner, you can't be pleased with that. I just don't know if there's enough love for Antonio Brown, Julian Edelman, and James White all together. And, throw Rex Burkhead into there. But I think you got to keep an eye on Josh Gordon. I'm not saying drop him, but in the next coming weeks, you'll see if he gets more relied upon in that offense as a threat. I was surprised by the Lions winning over the Chargers. End of story. So they've shown that they can, I guess, be contentious and dangerous, which shows that division top to bottom is pretty decent. I think that the Chargers are a mediocre to maybe above that team, and I was surprised that the Lions won. Let's get on to some pickups. If you need some, I like Terry McLaurin. I like Terry McLaurin for the Redskins, and the Redskins have been down, so they're going to be throwing the ball. Case Keenum can launch the ball. I also like Marquise Brown. He's probably not available in many leagues. He had 13 targets for 86 yards. I also like John Brown. He's had 8 targets or more in the last 2 weeks, I believe. And Cole Beasley's been decent too, but I like Josh Brown more. Chris Conley's another decent option, and Marquise Goodwin, who I have been targeting. He and Jimmy Garoppolo do have some previous history and have gotten to build some pretty decent chemistry, so he's starting to get worked in there. So keep an eye on him. If you like him, go ahead and pull the trigger. If you need somebody. I'm not pulling the trigger on Demarcus Robinson quite yet. He's more of a small plug-and-play kind of guy with Tyreek Hill out. So keep an eye on that injury, I guess. But I still think it's a Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins show. Running back, Frank Gore. I also like Carlos Hyde. He has been putting the work in each down. He's kind of been hovering around the 10-point area, but sooner or later he's got to break through and get a touchdown. Obviously, could make him a little touchdown dependent. He's probably not going to be your elite starting guy, but could be a good fill-in option on your bench. Chris Thompson the same. I mean, he's a PPR guy. I do like Chris Thompson, and he and Case Keenum did have a pretty decent rhythm going for a while, and then, and then they kind of got away from it. But I still like Chris Thompson too. He's got a lot of upside. When it comes to the quarterback position, I know a lot of you are hurting here, and I personally picked up Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket. I know he's not everybody's favorite pick. He's normally the guy that I put in when I have my bye week, but it looks like he's going to be my interim quarterback. I did drop Drew Brees. It broke my heart, but I had to do it. At this point, I just need somebody, and I want to keep the people on my bench because I need them. Case Keenum and Matt Stafford are some other good options. At the tight end position, I don't know that Mark Andrews is available in many leagues. He's not in mine, but he had 9 targets, 112 yards, and a touchdown. He looked pretty great for the Ravens. Jason Witten is available in my league. He's been pretty decent, and he's going to put some points on the board each week. Jordan Reed could be available. Some people could have dropped him due to the concussion, so if you need somebody long-term, he could be decent. Darren Waller probably has been picked up in many leagues, but he's pretty good too. Pick'ems, let's go to those. I got Titans over the Jags, Bills over the Bengals, Cowboys over the Dolphins, of course. They're going to be off to a great start once they win that game. I'm putting that on the board right now. I've got the Broncos upsetting the Green Bay Packers. I've got the Colts beating the Falcons. They're at home. I've got the Chiefs over the Ravens, so that'll put the Ravens to a screeching halt there. I've got the Vikings over the Raiders. The Vikings are at home there. I've got the Pats over the Jets. I got the Lions upsetting the Eagles. It's questionable whether it's an upset, I guess, but I think that one could go either way, and I'm going with the Lions. Going with the Panthers over the Cardinals, although I think that could be an interesting game. Got the Bucks over the Giants, of course. I mean, they're benching Eli Manning, so I think that could be a disaster. Texans over the Chargers. I think that one is definitely going to happen. The Texans definitely have some potential this year. I've got the Niners over the Steelers in their situation especially, and I've got the Seahawks over the Saints. Russell Wilson's still been playing pretty decently well. I've got the Rams over the Browns. I think this is a really true test whether the Browns are actually good or not. If they can beat the Rams, I could be just sold. So that one's going to be a really interesting game. I've got the Redskins over the Bears. I've liked what I've seen from the Redskins and Case Keenum. I think that one's actually going to be a really great game too. So let's jump into DFS. Some quarterback and wide receiver matchups that I'm going with. I always like to go, I like to pair my wide receiver and quarterback up, and I also like to get some good bargains too. So that's typically what I hunt for, and then I go high on I love to go like Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley, and I would go Alvin Kamara, but not anymore with that situation. And then I'll just go bottom of the barrel on wide receivers, and then sometimes I'll mix it up, vice versa. But I like getting some good buys and trying to pay high on people I know should produce. But here's a couple good bargain picks I got. I got Josh Allen and John Brown. You could also go Cole Beasley too. I got Matt Stafford and Kenny Galladay, just kind of a mid-range option there. And I got Andy Dalton and John Ross. He's been doing very well with AJ Green sidelined. At the running back position, Zeke are going to pay for him, but he's going against the Dolphins, and I think he's going to feast. I like Marlon Mack as well, and Josh Jacobs. He's pretty cheap. And then, I don't know, I think Carlos Hyde is due. Again, play at your own risk there. But I might throw him in one league just because I think he'll probably get a touchdown and he's pretty cheap. Tight end, I like Greg Olsen and Austin Hooper. And I mean, Mark Andrews has been doing well too, so he could be a good play. Defensively, I like the Bucks and I like the Niners. They're kind of mid-range. I normally go lower on my defenses. You know, everybody's got their own strategy. Some other just cheap plays in general. Marquise Brown at 5,900. Tyrell Williams at 5,600. John Ross again at 5,100. Emmanuel Sanders at 4,800. Blows my mind. Jamison Crowder, if Sam Darnold plays, 4,800. And John Brown at 5,500. So there's some options. But that's week 3 coming up. And then, you know, week 2 in the past. So hope all of your fantasy football seasons are going well. Feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear from you all. Especially if you have any thoughts or comments. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at fantasy_more. Hope these are helpful or fun or entertaining. Josh McCown, if you can hear me, you know, wouldn't you love a nice Bumblebee jersey? We would all love to see you in it. Sam Bradford, you too, either or. Anyway, thanks for tuning in and stay tuned for more episodes.